Hey guys, Keith here. Appreciate y'all tuning in. I may be too chicken to date. Even at my age, I'm almost 60. I posted a video the other day about where are all the women over 50, and had a lot of comments on that, good and bad. That's okay. But anyway, it was like God must have seen this video or something. That video I put out because since then I've seen three or four women, three I can think of specifically that were 50ish. I would say, I would guess. Not being mean. I just kind of think they're probably around that age. But anyway, I mean, they look very good, But I'm just saying they look to be close to that age, and so I've I think I'm too chicken though. I was like, I'm pretty outgoing, and I can speak to anyone. Matter of fact, I've spoken to all three of these ladies. Just seen them in different settings, a store, a couple of stores, and then another place where I do. I had a shoulder injury, so I'm doing some physical therapy for that. And anyway, so I saw her today. I spoke to her today, but for some reason I don't get her as the therapist. I've not had her yet, but anyway, but I did see her today, and she's I don't think she's got a ring on, and I did speak to her, but then that's kind of I don't know what to do after that, because it's not like we have a conversation or we're in a position to have a conversation without me just walking out there and she's got a client. I can't really do that, right? So, but anyway. So the other day that I saw, there was a lady in Dollar Tree, right? And it's just hard. Like I say, it's just hard for me anyway to just. I can talk to anybody. That's not a problem. But I think just going up and starting a conversation, knowing that I'm kind of wanting to ask them out, and I just think it's weird because, like I say, they don't know who I am, and today's time, it's tough to do that. I don't want to. My fear, more so than saying something and getting rejected, I've been rejected many times, for many different reasons, jobs and women, whatever, But so that doesn't really bother me as much. I mean, nobody likes that. I'm not saying I thrive on it, but I think that my fear is making it awkward for them, and I don't want to do that. To me, it's just not worth it. I mean, but I know, I guess it's got to be kind of awkward that first time, uh, especially in a situation like that. But I just don't know how to do it, I guess. And so I saw this lady at Dollar Tree, and I was kind of walking past the aisle, and we made eye contact, and she smiled real big, and I was like, hey, and I said, hey, how are you, or something. I don't know if I said how are you, but anyway, I said hey, and I don't know if she said anything back, but she smiled, and we acknowledged one another, and it looked like she was with her mama or something there, and so I kind of walked by the aisle a couple of times. I didn't need anything in that aisle. I could have just pretended to need something, I guess, but I just say I didn't want to be that creepy guy, where I'm, looking up at her, see if she's looking at me, and following her around the store, and have the cops show up. That's for stalking, obviously that probably wouldn't happen, but you know what I mean. I don't want to be the creepy old guy. I don't want to be like Artie Johnson on Laughing. I don't know if y'all remember that or not, but I was really small, but I used to watch it, and then I didn't remember a lot of stuff from back then, but I've watched it since then. And he'd sit on the park bench, and Ruth Buzzy'd sit down there, and he'd be like, "Hey, do you believe in the hereafter?" Then you know what I'm here after, and so I do that a little too well, honestly, a little scary, but yeah, I'm not going to do that, what I mean. I don't have any lines. I'm not going to be that way, but I think just knowing what to say, and to just to ask somebody out that you don't know, and I think it's tough anyway. So I may be too big of a wimp to I don't know, to date. I thought I was past all that because I can ask questions all day long, but I think getting in the conversation, maybe getting that started, and I've been in places where I like record stores. I love records, and I'll get into a conversation. I got in a conversation one day with this lady, and man, we were talking it up, and I was like, cool. Even my daughter kind of backed off. She said she saw us talking, and she was kind of waiting for us to finish, and let us have a conversation. And somewhere in the conversation, she mentioned that her husband liked vinyl records too, and so and I was like, okay, yeah, that's how that works, And so anyway, I've had that happen where I've seen a woman walk by I'm in an aisle and she's kind of walking crossways this way and look down the aisle and just smile real big, and I'll smile real big, and then suddenly there's a guy right behind her, and is with her. So anyway, that's usually the way it goes. But so I don't know if dating's. I don't know if I can do it. I really don't. I wouldn't be chicken on a date. I wouldn't be chicken. I don't think then, but just getting to that point. So anyway, y'all may be the same way because it's tough, to like I say, unless you meet somebody at church or at if you're taking some classes or you're in a group somewhere or you're at work, But even then, and I might do another video on this, but I think one thing too you get into a little bit when you do know people, and you've made friends and you feel comfortable asking them out. You're not chicken to ask them out, but what if you ask them and they don't want to go? They don't feel the same way about you. They're like, oh no, we're just friends at work here. And then, it puts a strain on your relationship. So I'm throwing something else out there to think about. But the biggest thing I think right for this video that I wanted to share was just, how do y'all handle that? Do you have a, I don't really like pickup lines. I've never been that kind of person too much. And I know somebody suggested just writing my name and number on a card or something, and going up and speaking to them, say, hey, if you'd like to have coffee sometime or go out to dinner or something, you can call me or message me, and that way it's in their hand. The ball's in their court, and you don't have their number unless they contact you. But I don't know. It's tough because, like I say, people got to be cautious, and I understand that. I mean, I want to be. I'm cautious too. Even though maybe women get taken advantage of more than men do, but men do as well, and so it's nobody wants to go through that, and just don't want your emotions toyed with or whatever, and so a lot to think about. But anyway. Let me know what you think about that, and are you a little chicken? Are you chicken to ask somebody out? Because like I say, I don't feel like I'm chicken to do anything. I can get in front of thousands of people and talk and sing and play the guitar, and it doesn't bother me a bit. I mean, but walking up to somebody individually, that you don't know, especially. But I've had trouble with people I did know as well, but when I was younger. More so, but anyway, something to think about. Let me know what you think. What would you do? What's your? You have any moves? And this goes for women or men. Because the guy doesn't always have to be the initiator. I don't believe. Sometimes the woman has to be the one that initiates the conversation. Maybe the man's in his own little world there, and he's not even thinking about who's in the store. He's just in there to get his stuff and get home. And maybe just not paying attention. I mean, not that he's aloof or just not, doesn't care, but maybe just at that point in time, he's got other things on his mind. So sometimes you ladies might have to initiate it, but let me know what you think about that as well. And anyway, I appreciate y'all tuning in as always, and if you could give us a thumbs up on this, subscribe to us if you would, and we'll see y'all in the next video. Thanks.